everyone. Good morning. We're just out taking a walk. It's 7:15, something like that. Oh, you can't see it from here. I was going to show you Mom's Buffalo Bills flag that I mounted in the front yard for her the other day. So now like the whole street has Bills flags. Well, it seems like this side everybody has one. So I haven't watched any of the games yet. You know, I've talked about it, NFL Premium or something, and it lets me watch the games after they're done, so I can't watch them live. You can watch some of them live, but the majority of the games, as soon as they're done playing, you can watch the game, and they take out all the commercials, that's what I really like about it. So I do this every year. I usually save the games. I don't watch them until, like when we get somewhere camped. And then when the day is right, I can sit down and watch a game. No commercials. I have it set so I can't see the scores of the games. You can do it either way. You can see the scores or not see the scores. So I have it so I can't see the scores of the games. And then I watch them when the mood is right. And if it's a really awesome game, I've been known to watch them a couple of times. I've gone back and watched like the previous season before. There's some new names on the team this year, so I'm going to have to get up to speed on the new guys that are on the crew. And I'm talking about the Bills, of course. That's a puppy. Okay. So Dalen got back from her vacation yesterday. See, he just heard her name. She texted me from Japan. It was midnight, Friday midnight? No, Thursday midnight. She said they were just about to get on the plane. And then she said they got back here to the airport at like midnight or 1 a.m. So it was like a 24-hour trip. So they had a layover in Atlanta and then came the rest of the way on and got to the airport here like midnight, 1 a.m., something like that. She stopped by yesterday, a little burned out, looking a little frazzled. Yeah, so now she's got to get herself back on this time zone. It was 13 hours ahead over there, so our day was her night. So she's backwards. And while they were gone, her grandma had Dalen's floors refinished. She has wood floors on the first floor downstairs, and they were looking pretty rough, all the years and everything. So before they left town, Dalen and Austin moved all the furniture out into the garage, and then the crew came by and sanded and refinished the floors. They look beautiful. So they came back to all of their furniture still in the garage, which kind of stinks. At least the upstairs, the bed and everything was still in place, so they were able to come back and get in bed and go to sleep. But I'm sure they probably have moved it back in by now. But she brought me some presents. She brought her grandma and me some souvenirs from Japan. So she brought me a few little things. These are my souvenirs that Dalen got me from Japan. Look at this t-shirt. She said it reminds her of Lefty. White dog sitting in a chair. So I guess this is the name of the store. Outdoor equipment since 1914. Tokyo Shibuya. And this is really cool. It's metal, and you take these, you flip this over, you flip those over, and they slide together into a nice little small size knife, fork, and spoon. Really cool. Like, very high quality. And then this is like a nylon carry bag that folds up and fits into this little pouch here. So very cute little thing. So these are my Japanese souvenirs that she got me. So cool. I love this. She said they had a really great time. I asked her, I said, would you go back there? And she said, oh yeah, she would definitely go back. So yeah, 2 weeks in Japan. She's got me beat. I've never been to Japan. I've been to England. That's the farthest I've been. We're getting ready to leave here probably within 10 days or so. So I did get the fuel filter changed on the rig. I'm going to show you that. It's not a it's a tough job. I mean, you've got to be a good, solid mechanic, and you've got to be able to work by feel, because you can't see the hose clamp. And in the video, I think I talked about it, but you have to be able to work by feel. And if you're not good at that, that makes it really tough. You know, I just couldn't remember the last time I did it. I'm pretty sure it was 2 years ago, and I had the whole turbo and everything removed, so it made it really easy. So doing it this way, I ended up not even having to remove the doghouse. I did it all from the front, and it really turned out to be not too bad. I was actually surprised, and I was kind of proud of myself for getting it done the way that I did it. I took 2 days to do it. I got it all torn apart, and I'll show you here in the video. Okay, good morning everyone. So today we're gonna start working on doing the fuel filter replacement. So any of you 7.3 pickup truck owners might say, that takes 5 minutes in a pickup truck. But when you're doing it in the van with the 7.3, it's a whole nother ball game. It's jammed way up under there, underneath all kinds of stuff. The air intake, the baffle box, all that's got to come out just so that you can really reach the filter, because the engine is so far back in there. So what I'm going to do, because I can't quite remember if I needed access from inside, but I'm going to remove the doghouse. It only takes a few minutes. That might help me reach up to disconnect the baffle box and the air intake hose at their back end. They're just hose clamps, but they're really hard to get to from the front. So I talked about doing the fuel filter and how it's not super fun. So the fuel filter that's the lid to the fuel filter, that gray plastic thing. So you see that sensor right there? So the next thing past it is the fuel filter. That's the cap to the fuel filter. So that's what we're going to be going after today. So one of the things that I did in the past, so this is obviously in the way, this air intake hose. So this will all come off, which is part of changing the air filters almost, except I'll take the whole thing out. And I believe last time I can take this rubber hose and kind of just muscle it over to the side to get it out of the way, to let me reach in there and get at the fuel filter. If I remember correctly, I think that's what I did. One time in the past when I did it, I had the whole top of the motor, I had the turbo out and everything, so that was a whole different ball game. So all of this was removed entirely, so it wasn't in the way at all. But we're going to start by just getting the air intake, the air box out of the way, and then, you know, that gets rid of these brackets here, and then we'll see how we can push this hose over out of the way. And I think that's how I did it before. So let's get at it, and we'll see how this looks like it's going to shake out. So there's the air box I just took out. So those are the two air filters. You know, they just go in side by side. And you see the intakes here. And those intakes connect into these two right here, which then funnel down, and the air comes in down here, goes up through these, and then into that air box. So now we can get a little bit of a better look at the fuel filter. And there it is. There's the cap, that kind of spider looking black plastic, gray plastic piece there. That's the cap that we're going to have to spin off. So on the back side of that fuel filter canister, there's a drain valve. It's a yellow drain valve, and you just rotate it towards the driver's side of the vehicle, and it opens up the valve and it drains out the canister there that the filter is contained in. Just to preface, I did disconnect both batteries, both crank batteries, the one down on the frame side and the one up here, because right up in the area that I'm going to be working, this is the, you can see the red tape, that's high voltage going to the glow plug relay right there, and there's the fuel filter right there. That right there is the fuel filter. So I'm going to be fiddling around right around high voltage, so I decided to disconnect the batteries. Always a good idea when working on top of the engine. So you can see how tight it is. That's the fuel filter, but this hose is in the way, and I don't know if you can see that shininess. That's a hose clamp that connects this to the baffle box, which is a big plastic box that sits kind of over top right there, which gets in the way. And this is also clamped towards the back. I can't pick it up. There's a hose clamp back there at the back end of this hose that holds it on back there. So getting this hose right here out of the way is kind of critical, because it opens up this whole area and allows you to get your hand in there to the filter. So we got to get this hose out of the way. I'm going to reach my arms in there now that I got the batteries disconnected, and I'm going to see if I can find that hose clamp from up here. I know what it looks like. I just don't know if I can get to it. Alright, so using my DeWalt big bright light here, so this baffle box, I can see the hose clamp for that. So what I've done is built myself just a couple of extensions on here, and I should be able to right to that. I picked 8mm, I think I'm right. Yep. Okay, so I got that loosened up enough that that baffle box will slide off of there. And I was able to find the hose clamp that is attached to this hose here. You know, you can clock a hose clamp, and some of these hose clamps on these intake parts are built in a way that they can only be clocked one way. They have indents in them, they have holes in them that the rubber goes through, so you can't really spin them and put them anywhere you want to. And I wonder if that's the case with that one, because the place that the nut is, the drive for the worm gear on the hose clamp, it's way down on this side, like instead of being right where I can reach it. I mean, I can still get my fingers on it, but it's in a very awkward position, and I wonder if that hose clamp is one that you can't clock. I might not have to go in through the doghouse. So reaching in through here is how I was able to... let me disconnect this AC plug. I always disconnect this compressor plug. I hate the way it sits so proud up here. I'm always afraid I'm going to snap it off. To be honest, I'm surprised I haven't, because I've put way too much pressure on it over the years. There we go. Okay, so now I don't have to be so worried about that. So if I reach my arm up in here, okay, there, I've got my fingers right on the hose clamp, but man, is it clocked way down to the other side. But if I can get a ratchet up in there and get that loosened, I'll be able to pull this pipe right out now, because it'll slide right off of that breather box there. So let me get a small ratchet with a deep well 8. Let's see if that... Okay, so that's a locking. You don't want to be dropping your socket down in there. So let me give this a rip and see if it'll work for me. I can reach in here. Whoa. There we go. Okay. Okay. I'm loosening. Come on there. Tell you what, getting this back on is going to be a real... Getting them apart is the easy part. I don't know, getting them back together, it's just the opposite, right? And I can feel it reverse clicking when I come back, you know? That's gotta be loose enough. If I was actually on there. Yeah, that clamp is totally loose. There's no reason that shouldn't just slide right off of there. It's just held on by love and time. Come on. There. That came off. There. Look at that. We got it. Don't let these clamps come off. Look at this. Yeah, see that one? That clamp does need to be clocked that way. There's no rotating it. That's why. So, there's the part. This goes into the baffle box, and that goes on back to the turbo inlet. Let me get a rag and stuff it in the turbo inlet real quick. It's not actually the turbo inlet, it's the thing that goes to the turbo inlet. There we go. Okay. Okay, so now with that hose gone, there's the filter. Okay, so we spin that cap loose. We had to disconnect it from that, and we had to disconnect it from that right there, that larger one, and pull that hose out of the way. Okay, this tool I bought here lets you, in theory, get the lid off of the fuel filter. Now, when I first changed my fuel filter on this truck, I could not get the lid off to save my life. It was on there, and from the looks of it, I don't think it had ever been changed. I took it into a shop, my Ford dealership that I've been to before. I took it in there one Saturday for something, I forget what, and while it was there, I said, hey, can you guys do a fuel filter change for me? And he's like, yeah, no problem. Subsequently, when I went to do my first fuel filter change, from the looks of it, I don't know that they actually, I don't want to say the guy, didn't do the job, but that cap, it looked like it had never been off, or it hadn't been off in many, many years, and I could not get it off. So I got this tool, ended up breaking one of the fingers off. So you saw that web shape to the lid of it. So these fit down. You've got two versions. This side here I think is for the 6-liter, and then this is for the 7.3 on this side. So I was cranking so hard on it, and then you put a 3/8 drive ratchet in here. So I was cranking so hard on it before I broke one of these fingers off, and so that's when I went to a big long flat-bladed screwdriver and a big hammer on the old cap, and I ended up, putting a notch in it and getting it to spin finally and break free. Obviously, I had to replace the cap after that. Hopefully, this cap will come off. Please, Lord, help me. I hope it does. Okay, let's see what we can do here. So at least I can get my tool on here. It's okay. And now my ratchet's in the tool. It's spinning. Shush. Oh my gosh, that just made my day. Oh, it's loosening up. I can do it by hand. Oh. the tool for the job. One of y'all sent this to me years ago. Thank you. And I am spinning off the cap like it was just put on this morning. There's the cap. So I am going to suction. I have this bottle stuck right here. And filter coming out. Yeah, that's got quite a bit of fluid in there. I keep saying fluid. Diesel. Okay. Yup. Because I'm getting quite a bit out of here. Okay, let's just reverse what we just did and get this thing, a new filter in there. So the Motorcraft filter is kind enough to include these instructions, because this one gasket, it is a bevel shaped gasket, so you have to make sure, I should say like an O-ring, but it's beveled, and you have to make sure you get it on the correct way. And then there's a separate O-ring that's just a standard O-ring that fits into the bottom of the fuel filter. So here's what you get. There's your new fuel filter. And then here's the two. This is the O-ring, the smaller one, and then this is the beveled. I don't know if you can tell, but it's not a standard O-ring. It's a beveled. So let me get this reassembled and we'll get this screwed in there and tightened down. Okay, here we go. New filter. I've got the O-ring installed on there, wiped it with some fresh diesel. Goes over this center pole, pushes down, and then I have the beveled gasket on there. Ideally, it stays there. So I'm threading this cap down. Okay. So far I'm just threading it by hand. Okay, now time for my spiffy tool. And I'm just not gonna go too tight on her. Yeah, that feels good enough. The only way to tell is once I fire the truck up, as long as fuel doesn't come spewing out of there. So, congratulations, David. You have just changed the fuel filter on your 7.3. Now all that's left is getting this thing back together. And I was thinking that I was going to do that tomorrow. That I was going to do this in a two-step process. Today being step one. I got way farther than I thought. That's a boy. Okay, good morning, everyone. So we're going back at the fuel filter replacement job today. So yesterday I got the filter changed, and now today it's just reassembly, putting the air hose back on, which I think is going to be a real pain. I'm gonna try it from this side and see how we do. I recharged my DeWalt light, which kind of died on me yesterday, so I'll have better light. Getting it out, I was surprised that I was able to reach in there, and I just don't remember the last time I did it. I think I had the whole top end of the motor apart, so I don't have a system here, but I was able to get everything apart, get the filter cover off, get the filter changed, no problem, from the front. And if I can get it all back together from the front, then I can remember that for the future. So what I'm talking about is getting this back on. This is the hose. This end goes towards the turbo, and then this end sticks out the front of the truck, which the air filter assembly connects into. So the problem is, way back here, reaching way back and getting to this hose clamp, which when this thing is installed, it's just like that. And I have to reach way around that side. You know, I did it by feel yesterday, got my ratchet on there and was able to get it loosened. My only concern is to make sure I have it all the way on, tightening it back up by feel. That's my only concern. If I can see well enough to make sure that it's seated on all the way, then I'm good. And then this is where that air baffle box goes. I know a lot of people remove that and just put a cap over this. I might consider that because it does get in the way of doing stuff, having this second connection here. And if this was just capped off, it would be a lot easier. So I'm going to clean this thing first before I put it back on. And then the inside is spotless because I gave this thing a really good cleaning last time I had it off. The inside looks terrific. But I'm going to clean the outside here and get all this dirt off really quick. Okay, I'm sorry I got going before I turned the camera on. So you can see I bungee corded this radiator hose out of the way a little bit just so I can get my arm up in there. So I have the hose on. I was able to push it on there. It takes a lot of force. It doesn't help that the hose is a little cold from sitting overnight. And I have it on the baffle box. So you just have to get your arm over here on the back side of the baffle box and get your other arm on this side of the hose and just push and wiggle till you get the baffle box to pop on that inlet. Just trying to see if I've got it all the way on. The hose clamp is in the right position. It has that notch in it. Yeah, that's on there. Okay, so this makes it a lot easier to get that hose clamp tightened up. Yeah, I got it. There we go. Okay, now let's go to the back side. This one's gonna be a bear. I'm gonna push it on some more. I had it all the way flush on the back, but I've been wiggling it, so. Okay. Yeah, it's on there. Okay. Reach around here and get my fingers on it. Okay. Here we go. Here goes nothing. Oh, shit, this clip keeps getting in my way. Okay, okay. I got it. Holy cripes. Unbelievable. How does she look? It's on there. I got it. Wow. It's done. Holy smokes. Putting the airbox back on, it's just these 4 8mm and then the 8mm for the hose. There we go. Batteries, I guess, is next. Okay, so we can get some eyes on the filter when it starts up. I just want to make sure there's no leaks at the cap. You know, I'm 99% sure it's all done perfectly, but just want to check everything. We are out here just gonna take the rig for a little test drive. I just got in and I checked the backup camera. You know, I have a little toggle switch down under the dash, and I hit the switch and it's just a, you know, a standard 2-pole switch, and I flip it and it breaks. You know, it's been on there for 6 years. The threaded part, where, you know, the little plastic ring just threads over it, and that's what holds it to the plastic dash, lower dash, and it broke. So it was this switch here. So I snapped this off, this panel. I took this panel off. This switch over here was my horn switch. So I put my horn switch over here to use for my backup camera for my test drive, because I always like to have the backup camera anytime we have to go in reverse, because you can't see what's behind you in these kind of rigs. So right now I don't have a horn, but I do have a backup camera again. So I just got to stop and pick up a second switch. I looked through my box real quick of electrical parts, and I could have sworn I had one somewhere, but I think I did. I used it for the Starlink. That's where it is. So I've got to just pick up another toggle switch and put this one back over there, because this is a temporary switch. You know, I have to hold it for it to stay in the on position, and for my backup camera I want a permanent switch. So I'll put this one back as the horn and buy another permanent switch to put back over in this location here. And then that's my LED bar on the front, my lower light bar. See if I turn it on, if you can tell. Yeah, you can see it go on in there. Boom. There's Mom. Okay, so this guy's out here ready. He doesn't have his setup in here, so he's doing his best. Engine sounds good with the fresh oil. All right, let's get out of here. Yeah, Dalen picked up her doggy Fritz yesterday, so we're back to normal here. I had to keep the bottom of the stairs blocked off because Fritz has a tendency to find things and chew them up. He chewed up a bunch of things while he was with us for the 2 weeks, including a $10 bill that he got off of the table in Mom's bedroom and chewed up into a bunch of pieces. But she took it to the bank, and there was more than half of it, so they just traded it for a new one. I guess that's the rule. If there's more than half of the bill, they'll give you a new one. That makes sense, because if it was just half, then you could come in with the other half and get another $10 bill, right? So, but it was in, I don't know, I found like 5 pieces, and I don't think it was the whole thing, so he ate some of it. So I had to keep the bottom of the stairs blocked off for the last 2 weeks, so every time Lefty wanted to come and go, I had to go down and undo the little fence thing I had down there so that he could come and go. So, kind of a grind, but Fritz was a good little dog. We got into a routine. He's a younger dog, and he had Lefty goofing around. They did zoomies together and play fighting and everything a bunch of times, so they were having fun. Alright, so thanks everyone for being here with us today. The next video, I've got the sealant that I'm going to use for the sealing up that seam between the cab and the box. That showed up a couple days ago, so I've got to... The hardest part is getting up there to reach it, because of course the section that's missing is right in the middle, and you can't really... I'm going to use the caulking gun so that I can reach out there, but it's the hardest place to reach up there, of course. So I'm going to do that next, and then I've got I'm replacing the hooks that are right inside the door that Lefty's leashes and all that hang on. I've never liked the hooks that I put up there. They just didn't work out well, so I got some different ones, and I'm going to be swapping those out, so I'll get those next time around. Everyone take care, be safe. We'll see y'all again real soon. Easy. Take your time there, brother. Oh, my goodness. Lefty's famous sneezes. Video wouldn't be complete without it, right? Come on. Oh, no. Stay away from that. That's electric stuff. Hey. Hey. Come on. Stay away from that cables. Come on. Good puppy. Good puppy.